You talk about crisis and simulation. Airports, I think it's no surprise, do crisis simulation drills and exercises over and over again in multiple sectors and areas. What makes the cyber exercise so unique? And that's something that you're going to be showcasing when you're here at Defend the Airport. But yeah, what makes the cyber crisis simulation unique?
Yeah, good question. I think there's probably two key things to that. So the first is in a traditional crisis, you tend to have something big happen. And
Hmm.
then the response is kind of dealing with that big issue. And over time, it becomes smaller, whilst the consequences of that issue might obviously amplify with potential knock on consequences with the media or with the public or whatever it is it might be. That thing that's happened, whether it's an explosion or could be a terrorist incident or a fire or a flood, for example, you're kind of mitigating that and dealing with it. And eventually that kind of ends. With a cyber incident, you have this big thing happen, but then you also have this unknown entity in the background actively working against you whilst you're trying to deal with the incident, intentionally making it worse. And they've been preparing for this and planning for it. And so you've not only got that added challenge of dealing with that big bang, but you've also trying to deal with the escalation in that and someone actively making it
Mm.
worse. And then I think linked to that, the second thing that comes from it is in a cyber incident, there are motives, right? And there are different motives that a adversary maybe has for that particular attack. So your response also can be affected by those different motives. So if it's a nation state based attack that's trying to cause huge disruption or instability in the economy, there's a very different approach you have to take versus if the motive is a cyber criminal gang that's trying to make some financial gain, or even a hacktivist that's just trying to cause some disruption on a local level. And I think that's also the unique dynamic that you get from something like a cyber crisis incident, and therefore needs to affect how you design and run those simulations.